everybody. Welcome back to Pagan Switchy Corner and happy 2026. We are actually recording this on New Year's Eve, so that's really funny that that's happening. But long time no chat. It's been a while. Um, I was put on, I guess you could say, a religious sabbatical by our deities, and so I've been away, but we're going to talk more about that. But today I'm joined by somebody who's going to be on here a lot because the podcast is shifting a little bit, and that is my co-priestess, Priestess Kayla. We are both priestesses of our temple, the Temple of the Unseen Flame, and we'll talk all about that here in a minute too. But Kayla, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for letting me be here.
I'm so
Thanks for letting me join.
I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that we get to do this. I'm glad we get to talk about all the cool stuff that we're doing. Um, for those of you who are in the Discord already, you probably know that Kayla and I co-run that whole show over there, and it's a big deal. We run the Discord, we run the temple, we do the lessons for the path, which we're going to be talking about. But where the podcast is kind of going from here on
Joined at the
out,
hip.
yeah, we're basically joined at the hip. I don't know what days we don't talk to each other, so it's very few and far between that we don't talk. But the podcast that we decided was going to shift, and I had thought about this for a while, was I wanted to get into, not saying that, interviewing guests is not original content, it is, but I wanted to talk more about what we're doing and the passions that we're doing within the temple itself, and kind of bring some of our teachings to all of you and how it applies to what we're doing over there. So I guess we should probably kind of start with how the format looks for the podcast going forward. So each month is a lesson that Kayla and I have written, and it will be various parts of that lesson. And then at the end of the month, we're either going to bring a fun topic to you, or it's going to be a guest interview with one of our favorite authors, one of our new authors, any new books that I've got going. So you're still going to get the great content of the interviews and the wonderful voices that you've come to know and love on the show. But we're going to be doing those more selectively going forward, because the one thing I have noticed is a lot of people who reach out to me have questions about, where do I start? Where do I go from here? What happens? And that's kind of where we decided, well, we know that we could recommend a bajillion books to you, but some people have a hard time doing that. They need something that's smaller form, more intimate, and that's what the Tempering Path became. And then we realized, oh, well, some of these lessons are great, but not everybody learns by reading. So let's talk about it. So that's what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be breaking down those lessons, talking about them, and exploring them more in detail. So when you do come into the Discord and you do choose to take the path, because it's optional, nobody has to sign up for it, um, you get to hear all sides of things. You get to hear the behind the scenes stuff, our opinions, our answers to some of the questions that we have listed in those lessons, and you get to hear us talk in depth about where and why we think that these lessons are so important. So if you're on this journey for the first time with us, thank you so much for being here. If you are a longtime listener, welcome back, and I'm so happy that you are here. I'm so happy we get to reconnect, and let's make 2026 awesome. So, Kayla, why don't you kind of introduce yourself a little bit for everybody and tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what kind of priestess you are, all that good stuff, and so they can get to know you.
Oh, the dreaded introductions.
I know. I'm sorry. I should have told you beforehand.
So my name's Kayla. If you're looking for me, it's spelled a little funny. That's the first thing most people notice. It's Kala. Um, but it's kind of unusual that I am who I am. Started out in the Christian church and grew up Southern Baptist, doing the whole Southern Baptist thing. You know, you go to church twice on Sunday and once on Wednesday, and you do all the other activities on the other days of the week. I came to paganism through a long, winding road, And long story short, found myself here. We won't get into that long story short.
That's too long of a story to get into, to be honest.
Yes, we'll get into that another day. Um, and now I work here mainly and just do everything I can when I can. Chronically ill. So, yay for all of my zebra family, or for my across the pond people, zebras. Um, and I'm just me. If you want to know anything, send us a note and ask. I'm an open book. If you
Kayla's
want to know
very
something about
chatty.
me or have random if you have random questions about me, send us a note and send us an email, send us a message, join the Discord and ask. I will be happy to answer just about any question.
So you and I both were put kind of on the sabbatical. So for those who were listening, Kayla and I are both priestesses of several deities, but our main patrons are the Morgan, Loki, and Anubis. Those are the ones that have always been part of our temple, our personal coven temple. And the Morgan kind of came to us one day, probably about the end of October, and was like, "Y'all are burning yourselves out. Go take a break." And we're like, "Yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
take like a week off." And then they're like, "No, no, no. We're not responding to any messages, nothing until y'all get some rest." And it's like, "Oh shit. Okay. What the hell do we do now?" Kayla and I, even though we're
Okay.
chronically
We
ill,
said, okay, we'll take 2 weeks.
you know,
We said, okay, we'll take 2 weeks. And they said, no.
you'll stay on sabbatical until we say otherwise. It wasn't a punishment. And truth be told, looking back at it, we were burnt out. We had been doing lesson after lesson and teaching after teaching. And me, obviously, podcasting and doing all the stuff that we were trying to do there. We were also trying to run the blog. And I mean, there's a lot of pieces that a lot of people don't see from behind the scenes. So you guys are kind of getting a little insight into that. And so the funny thing was, we didn't realize how burnt out we were until we hit that burnt out wall. And then we were like, oh, wow, this really sucks. Like, we have overworked ourselves. And, as somebody who's chronically ill, you have to really maintain a balance between what you want to do and what your body is capable of. And for some reason, our brains still think that we're normal, functioning human beings. I don't know why. And so they continue to be like, let's go do 35 things on the to do list today. And the body's like, sweetie, honey, darling, I love you. I love the enthusiasm, but I can do 3. That's it. So, and we would push past those. And it wasn't that we didn't want to. The drive was there, the want was there, but man, it was a lesson in, you really got to take some balance and really got to take hold of things. And I'm glad that we were on sabbatical when the first few months of, late fall or early winter hit, because chronic illness kind of smacked us in the ass and was not very nice to us.
Yes.
But I'm glad that we did what we did. And when we did finally realize, okay, we're okay enough to pick the mantle back up and continue the work, we realized that a lot of stuff had changed as well. And it changed really rapidly over the course of that sabbatical. Things that we wanted to do, how we wanted to teach, where we were doing everything wrong, of course. And not wrong in a bad way. I don't want anybody to go, oh, well, what rules did you break? No, we didn't break any rules except for we overworked ourselves. Um, but things that weren't working the way that we thought they were. And so we got this really great perspective. And so the sabbatical was, in the beginning, we thought was a curse. And then by the end, we're like, this was a fucking blessing. Like, we needed this so bad. So now,
This was a great wake up call of, oh, this is where you should have been aiming instead of a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right here. You should have been going a little bit up in this direction. And on this project, you should have been going a little bit down and to the right on this one, or been going aiming a little bit this way on this one. So, on all these different projects we have going on, we got a little bit better aim on
Mhm.
all of them in our thought processes and in our direction of where we need to go for the future.
Yeah, and it made us have the really great perspective of what do we see the temple as? What do we want it to continue to be? Where does it stand between, our private coven and public service? Because for a long time those were separate things, and we also realized we can't necessarily keep all of that separate. It is merging into the public. We have gone from being, a small group that meets once a week or whatever and does witchy shit together to a group of teachers and amazing minds and amazing voices and people asking questions and asking for help. And we're like, well, I mean, here's a book, have a nice day kind of thing. And not that callously, but, that's how it felt in the beginning because it was like, well, none of us felt like we were teachers. And I still don't feel like I'm a teacher, except when I start explaining things to people, then I'm like, oh shit, I actually do know my stuff. Well, whoopsies. Guess I am one. Um, but it's
Guess I do know a little bit of something.
yeah, a little bit of something, yeah, but it made it to where we were able to find our drive and our passion and how we really did want to help the next generation of witches like yourselves that are listening. And I'm not saying this from any sort of gatekeepy path or anything like that. And the one thing that we're going to talk about here in a little bit is the path, and we call it the tempering path. And there's a million paths out there that you can follow. And this one is basically just basic witchcraft. It is the 101 courses that all of us kind of wish that we had. It's practical, it's accessible, it's got devotional work, spirit communication, lived experience, mutual respect. It's not performative. There's no, you have to have X, Y, and Z thing. We basically made it to where if you are the newest of new, like you have just woke up today and be like, I want to study witchcraft, it's for you. Or if you've been studying for 50 years, it's also for you. Because having the ability to relearn some of the basics isn't making it seem like you have forgotten or you're rusty or you're bad. It's a reminder. It's not cooking a recipe for, 5, 10 years and you have to go back and remember the measurements. It's not that you've forgotten it. It's not that you don't know how to do it. It's fresh eyes on old subject matter. And so for those who are
And you're
experienced
not
in
the same person that you
exactly.
were. You're not the same person you were when you first learned them. So you may learn something completely and totally different when you relook at it this time.
Yes,
Who
exactly.
knows?
Exactly that. So that's kind of where we have kind of made the tempering path, and it is extensive. I will say that much. It's part of the reason we burnt out is because it's a lot of lessons. It goes through everything from, like we were saying, the basics through shadow work, understanding your energy, understanding who you are as a person and how that applies to witchcraft, and also talking about how to deconstruct from things that may not actually be serving you or maybe causing you spiritual trauma and everything in between. So it goes through a lot of different paths and a lot of different sections, and there are 10 tiers, and there's multiple lessons per tier. But how we wanted to work the podcast is we wanted this to kind of be like, I don't want to call it a lecture series because I've never done a podcast that felt like a lecture or like a teaching thing or anything like that. It feels like I'm having a coffee with a friend and we're just having a really great, deep conversation. And I hope that all of you listening get the same kind of vibe. If you don't, well, I'm sorry, I'll try harder. um, but that's how we wanted this to be. We wanted it to feel comfortable, accessible, and everything. And for those of you who are like, oh, well, okay, it's a witchcraft path. How much does it cost? It doesn't. It costs your time. That's it. If you want to put time into something, that's what you get out
Have
of it.
effort.
And effort. You're the only thing that it costs you is how much effort and time you're willing to put into it. If you're not willing to put any into it, you're not going to get anything out of it, really. Um, but I didn't want to be, and I'm not knocking any other witches out there that charge for their, craft and their classes and all that. Some of them do it professionally. I did when I decided that we were going to do this and that, I was like, Kayla, let's talk about this. I think this is what we need to be doing. And she's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. We wanted to make it for the witches who can't afford the classes, who can't afford to do the big things with the big names. And as me being one of those witches myself, um, we wanted to make sure that it was accessible to everyone, no matter what walk of life you come from, whether you are, you know, trying to go from paycheck to paycheck or you live comfortably. It doesn't matter where you come from. It matters how you want to apply the work for yourself. And so we never wanted to put a price tag on it. And that's why the class is available in Discord. Eventually, it will have a book. We are working on a book version of it, but that takes a long time for anybody who's ever written a book. Um, and that's for people who want like a tangible copy they can hold. But other than that, yeah, we didn't want it to be a price tag. You must pay this, and this is the only way you can get access to enlightenment. Spirituality is for everybody, everybody. So that's how we wanted it to be. So each podcast during the month will go through the start of the lesson, the next and that's the beginning of the month. And then the next one is the reflection questions. We'll give you our input on them, some of our answers to them, kind of break them down so they're easier to understand. And that way you can do them inside, the lesson as well. And then some sort of practical application. A lot of the lessons have practice with them. So it's meditation, some sort of practical work, something like that. And then at the end of the month, we'll do interviews or fun topics or what we like to call temple teachings, which are lessons that don't really have a place within the path themselves. Sometimes they're deeper dives, sometimes they're not exactly beginner friendly. But they're bigger conversations. And so that's where this is going. And that's the future of this podcast. And I hope that you are excited as we are, because we have been chomping at the bit since we came up with this idea like a month and a half ago and have been coming up with plans left, right, and center for it and breaking it down. And we're really excited about it. And I hope that you are going to be excited to join us for the whole thing. So, without further ado, let's break down what we're going to be talking about this month. This month is going to be lesson 1 of the Edgewalker tier. And the Edgewalker is the beginning tier of the path. And the first lesson is, what is energetic hygiene and why it matters? So I know that everyone's like, what do you mean? Like, everyone should know this. You'd be surprised how many people don't. Really. You'd think that, listening to a witchcraft podcast or whatever, everyone's like, oh yeah, we all know what energy is. I have met a lot of students who didn't have a understanding of what energy was, let alone energetic hygiene. And so it was one of those things when we sat down and we were like, okay, where do we want to start this? Well, you can't start witchcraft unless you know your own energy. And so that's why this is lesson 1.
Oh.
So I'm going to kind of pass the mic to Kayla and let her kind of give her take on this too.
So, your spiritual energy is kind of like your life's blood of your life, your life through everything. Your life. So, when we talk about it, what are we actually talking about? We're talking about everything that fuels magic, everything that fuels you. It fuels the vibrations of everything. When you walk into a room and it feels stagnant, when you walk into a room and you can feel that there was just a fight there, when you walk into a room and you can feel that somebody just had sex there, ooh. When you walk into a room and you feel that it's just had a happy celebration there, like, that's energy. You can feel it. um that's the kind of thing we're talking about when we talk about spiritual energy. When you're talking about cleansing it, you need to learn, and talking about hygiene, You need to learn how to cleanse that energy. So we need to learn how to actually clean ourselves, clean that energy off of ourselves. But what happens is you go through your day and you pick up energy from places.
Hmm.
Somebody had a fight in the next room over. You pick up a little bit of that energy. You just it just kind of sticks to you.
I do. Oh,
You
sorry.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, I do want to preface that it's nobody's fault when you pick up energy. Energy's sticky. It's kind of like putting
No,
gum on your shoes
it's
sometimes.
sticky.
It's not necessarily a bad thing. So, if, like Kaylee was saying, if there was a fight in the next room or you walk into a room where there's a fight, suddenly you might feel just a little grumpier than you did before. Or, somebody just kind of scowls at you and you're like, what the hell is your problem? And then suddenly you're thinking about it all day and you're feeling that whole weird energy because they passed that energy to you. It's sticky. So it's not that you're broken. It's not that you're wrong. It's not that you're hexed. You're not cursed. You're none of those things. Everybody picks up energy. And that's why
No.
energetic hygiene is important because at the end of your day, after you've interacted with people, dogs, pets, stuff on the internet, yes, you can get energy transfer from the internet. It's a whole thing. It's like, suddenly you can take
Doom scrolling is a thing.
doom scrolling. You
Doom
go
scrolling
from
is
happy to pissed
definitely a
off.
thing.
It's a lot.
So you can totally get energy from the internet. If someone tells you you can't and that's crazy, tell them to go look at the news, go look at something for 30 minutes, go look at it for an hour, and tell them the difference of how their mood is after that.
Yeah,
That's energy.
it is
That
energy.
is that is a transfer of energy.
So, how does it, spiritual energy, how do we, go about dealing with that in life? Like, obviously, we are all spiritual beings. We wouldn't be sitting here talking about witchcraft and energy if we weren't. Um, and energy isn't just in us, it's in everything. Everything, it breaks down to science, and science talks about how we're all energetic beings as well. And so you can get deep into the science with this as much as you can into the, woo woo witchcraft. You can go both directions with it because it does still run parallel to each other. But we have to learn where our own spiritual energy sits. So that way we can understand what's ours, what's not, whose energy did we just pick up by accident. And what do we do when we realize that we have somebody else's energy on us? That, the energy we have kind of collected throughout the day. I kind of like to think of energy is like walking out into, springtime when there's pollen everywhere. It doesn't matter whether or not you can see
Yes.
it. You still have pollen on your clothes and your hair, on your skin. It's awful. And, for us people who are allergic to all of that, you get itchy and that's uncomfortable and you don't want it on you. So you go take a shower. So energetic hygiene is kind of like that. Sometimes you can't see it, sometimes you can't always feel it, but it's there. It's stuck to you in some capacity. And so when you start learning how to do energetic hygiene, the cool thing about that is you get to learn what a cleansing means, what grounding means, shielding, clearing your space and understanding all of that. How does that work to you? How do you call your own energy that you have fluffed off and accidentally sent to somebody else back? What does that look like? What does it feel like? And that's the important part in
What is your
cleansing. Hygiene.
You're learning what your energetic sniffles are, what your energetic itchy skin is, what your energetic allergy signs are. You're learning what all of those things are to you. If we can take the pollen, take the pollen test for energy.
All I saw was like in my brain was like spiritual hives. What? So, the cool thing about lesson one is lesson one tells you what is energetic hygiene, why it matters. So now that we've kind of talked about spiritual energy and understanding where your energy comes from, later in the month, I believe that we have written down, I'd have to check my notes, but I think the aspect is not only learning how to clear your energy, but learning how to feel what's yours and understand that. But understanding what is energetic hygiene is the most important aspect. So you are over here talking about all this great stuff and we're learning about what energy is, but then we have to learn how to take care of it. Just like we have to, when you're a baby and a small child, you don't know exactly how to go take a shower yet and, do all the stuff you're supposed to do, wash your hair, shave your legs, all that good stuff. If you're a girl or if you're a guy, maybe you like to shave your legs too. Doesn't matter. No bias here. Um, but you have to learn what that looks like. And so, what does cleansing mean to you? What does grounding look like for you? What is shielding? What is clearing your space? How do you replenish and pull back what you've lost? They're not optional for spirit work either, and witchcraft, or even I would go so far as to say life, because I don't want to keep any grouchy person's energy on me because that's just going to make me grouchy. I don't want to keep anything that makes me feel off on me. So, understanding what cleansing looks like and grounding. So, for those who are like, well, I don't know the difference. Okay, that's cool. That's fine. Cleansing is kind of like we were saying before, it's like taking a shower. It is removing,
Yeah.
fluffing it off, getting whatever you need to do. You can do a smoke cleanse, you can do a literal shower, you can do energetic cleansing, and we'll get into those practices in the coming weeks. But um, grounding is another one too, because that just kind of takes all that energy and lets it flow off of you into a grounding way. Maybe you go and actually like stand outside, touch a tree. Maybe you are somebody that likes to just sit in a bath, or you're somebody that wants to just energetically do that. That's all okay. All of those things are great. None of them are wrong. It's what works best for you. And then you get into shielding. Shielding is not necessarily cleansing per se. It's like wearing a hoodie when it's cold outside, or cool, I should say, because cold hoodie's probably not going to do much. But it it allows your body to be comforted because it's got shielding around it in some capacity, protecting you from the elements. Shielding in terms of energy is the same kind of thing. It shields you from what's around you so you don't absorb as much. Not saying it's going to stop everything, but you won't absorb as much. And clearing your space so your environment supports you. These are all things that would be like cleaning your house. And don't get me wrong, we're not talking immaculate in any capacity. We're just, neat and tidy.
Lived in is okay.
It's fine. I've done that.
Lived
Floors
in
and
is
dog
okay.
bones and all of that stuff. Like if I tried to keep my house immaculate, Spencer would run through my house and just shake his fur, and everything would be covered in white fur again. So it's just you tried to keep it well maintained, but even then, it's like, oh, okay. Um, you just want a environment that supports you, that makes you feel comfortable, that makes you feel safe, and all of those things. That's making sure that your space is clear enough for you to do the work and it feels supportive to you, whatever that looks like for you. No judgment in any direction. And then replenishing what's lost, used, or drained. So, we were saying before where you don't always end up with somebody going and being like, well, I guess I just ended up with your energy. Here, have it back. Like, that doesn't necessarily work. Most of the time, people don't even know what they've sent out or how they've sent it out or how it's gotten attached to somebody else. So, having a regular practice of calling your own energy back to you, um, in a like manifestation way, a meditative way, a grounding or cleansing way, and doing all that is great. And then replenishing means that you are doing something that helps build your energy back up. Maybe it's eating a grounding food, maybe it's watching a silly video, dancing to a song that makes you happy, doing some art, something that gives you energy and makes you feel good. That helps replenish it. And it doesn't always have to be 100% spiritual in that regard. It can be mundane as long as it makes you feel like your energy is back up to the level it should be. That's what matters. Um now one of the things I would say in terms of that kind of thing, you don't want to be using energy from other people to get yours back up. That's not consensual or nice. Um, and you want to make sure that you are doing things for you that are not reliant on other people to fix your energy. So
Right.
that's a really important
That's
takeaway
very
from that.
important.
You want to make sure that when you do energy practice of any kind, whether you are helping somebody or helping yourself or doing spell work or whatever it may be, it needs to be consensual. And we're not going to get into hexes on that. That's a whole other subject. And healing spells is a whole other subject. We're talking about just everyday normal stuff. Those are deeper topics we'll get into much later. But yeah, you want to make sure it's consensual because you're not wanting to steal somebody else's energy without their consent or any of that kind of thing. And even if somebody gives you consent, they need to also understand what that means too, because they may not understand. So um, it's always best to have options otherwise. So I don't know. Why do you say that this is so important to you, Kayla? Why do you think that knowing this is lesson one? Why do you think we chose this?
Because for doing energy work, doing any magical work, doing any daily work in your mundane life, you need energy. You need mundane energy, even for that matter. And you can feel off. You can feel unsteady. You can have brain fog. You can have mood swing. You can have um, irritability. You can just be emotionally overloaded. You can have exhaustion for no reason. It can manifest in your body physically when you are energetically low.
Okay.
So be having your having your energy level, having your energy at least level, I should say, if not up to par, is the best way to keep your mundane energy from getting overwhelmed. Not to say you don't need to check with doctors and everything else. We're not saying
No, no, no.
that, putting that out there. That is not what we're saying at all. Um, but if your energetic hygiene is not kept, it's going to affect the rest of your hygiene.
Yeah,
Does that make any kind of sense
it does make sense.
outside of my brain?
So, and we're not talking like necessarily physical hygiene. We're talking like mental, emotional,
No.
that kind of hygiene.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's multiple kinds of hygiene other than just going and washing the body and getting clean. Um, there's, you have your emotional hygiene, you have your mental hygiene. Yes, they are different. You have, obviously physical hygiene, which, goes into that. And then now we're talking about energetic or spiritual hygiene. So that's where that all kind of comes into play. It's kind of like an ecosystem. We have to keep them in balance so that way we are thriving in the way that we're supposed to. So that kind of really breaks down what energetic hygiene is, why it matters, what your spiritual energy is. And I hope that we were able to explain this really well to you. And if we weren't, please comment and let us know where we might have gone down a rabbit hole and you didn't follow us, and that's totally fine. And if you need more clarification, ask, please. The biggest thing is join the Discord because all of these lessons, uh, reflection prompts, I couldn't think for a minute, the check-ins and the meditations and all of the stuff for this path are in the Discord. And we help you through. We
And
answer
the
questions.
expanded lessons are.
Yes, the expanded lessons are definitely
The
in there.
expanded lessons are in there.
So this helps go. We are just here talking about it. So those who are like, I have a hard time understanding it when it's read to me or when I'm reading it, can you talk about it? And then it's kind of like if you were going to look at this like a college course, which it's not, but if you were, This is the lecture part of the series. You also get the book. The book tells you almost the same stuff, but in a slightly different manner. And then you get the homework, which is your, reflection prompts and practice and all of that other stuff. So that's where how we kind of view this. And so it's not that our opinion is the only one that matters. No, it's not. It is one opinion and a really great cacophony of voices out there who are doing amazing work. To also kind of say if this is a path that you are wanting to set out on, we do have some recommended reading for this first tier, which is going to be 2 books. And that first book is Weave the Liminal by Laura Timta Zakharoff and Anatomy of a Witch by Laura Timta Zakharoff. Um, if you've known me and been a longtime fan of mine, I've interviewed Laura several times. I've also reviewed her stuff. I love her books. Both of those books are my 100% go-to for the intro to all things witchcraft because she breaks it down in such a great way, especially the energy aspects of it in such a beautiful way. And it
Yeah.
makes it feel like you are truly comprehending everything. And she, brings humor into things, but she also makes everything feel really comfortable. So fantastic books. Highly recommend them. I will have links in the show description about that. But since we are pretty much off of topic now because we actually went through all of the notes, I will say if you come back next week, which I hope that you do, and I hope that we will get to see you all next week again for more about this, we are going to actually go through the reflection prompts and we're going to give some of our answers to those questions. We're going to go in deep with them, explain them a little bit, and make sure that everybody is understanding them the way that they should be. And you get to hear our responses as well to how we go through those and how energetic hygiene works with us and what we do in our practices as well. The week after that will be a meditation that is an energetic check-in that teaches you how to identify your own energy and how to check with your energy to see if it is feeling okay, if you picked up something else and all that. And that meditation will guide you through that. And then at the end of the month, we're probably going to do a temple teaching because as of right now, it's a new year and I just came back from sabbatical. I have nobody scheduled right now. But there will be interviews coming up in the future after that. So that is the outline of what we are going to be doing. But if you also join the Discord, we do way more than just the path. We do a whole lot of really great stuff in the Discord. Which is the Raven's Nook. Again, link is in the show description. You will get to find out all of that. But we do Weird Wednesdays, and it's not WEIRD, it's WYRD, and it's named for the threads of fate, the weird chords. So this is open to anybody, whether you're on the path or not. You get to come and do a centered kind of discussion or activity, guided practice. We'll do divination, talk to deity, all sorts of cool stuff on those nights. And those are pretty much every Wednesday. We do take one Wednesday a month off because balance is important. And so those are every Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to know what we're going to be doing and how we're going to be doing it, on witchycornerproductions.com, you'll go to the Temple of the Unseen Flame. There's a whole thing that says temple events on it. We have January's full schedule laid out. We have a cleansing that's coming up. We're going to do a kitchen witchery recipe exchange. Then we're also doing a temple night, which I'll talk about those in a minute. And then we're going to do a divination and do some divination for the outlook of 2026 for, those who are there. And then finally, the last Wednesday of the month, which is January 24th, is going to be our Silent Flame night, which is the Priestess night off, basically. We make sure that we have our own, rest days and we're taking care of ourselves that way. Now, the temple nights, those are fun because if you're following the path and you are doing the path with, all the lessons and everything, or if you have witchcraft questions, we do a Q&A with me and Kayla on January 15th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then we are also doing I guess you could say it's a devotional kind of event that we will be doing that we call them anchor nights, but they are part of the temple nights. And it is the Echo of Embers. It's a devotional gathering that we do once a month. In Sacred Reflection, we pull a card, a rune, or something and allow a deity to come through and actually talk about that and give a specific message around that within the story of the card. So we'll be doing that and then offering some, divination up to that deity or reverence up to that deity. I'm sorry. And it's just kind of a community ritual event that we do once a month. And that will be on January the 29th, also at 7:30 p.m. Eastern in the Discord. If you want to know more about the temple, if you want to know about who we are, what we do, all of that, everything is on the website at witchycornerproductions.com. Link is in the show description. I should tell you that all the links are always going to be in the show description forever. If not, they're on the YouTube. They're probably listed on the Spotify page as well. And any of you other podcast hosting, wherever you listen to the show at, that's where it's going to be at. So you can find all that great stuff there. Yeah. So did I miss anything, Kayla? I think I covered it. I hope so.
I think you got it all.
Yay.
I think you actually got it all.
See, this is what happens when you take good notes, everybody. So Kayla is not one of those people that's really always on social media. If you want to get to know her and you want to talk to her and you want to follow what she's doing and all that good stuff, join the Discord. She's in there all the time talking to people. She's very nice.
I'm there.
So come join us. Like I said,
I'm very nice, sir.
everything's in the show description. It's a great time in there. We have lots of fun stuff. We have a lot of community stuff as well, including gaming, and like movie days and show days that we watch stuff together. So it's not just all witchy stuff, but we do welcome everybody. So everyone, welcome to 2026. I hope you are excited about what we're doing here on the show going forward. I hope that you will join us in the Discord. I hope that you're going to be joining us for all the great stuff that we're going to be doing. And if you have questions or you want to know about anything or know if it's in the path or anything at all, join us in Discord, shoot us a message, comment on YouTube, comment on Spotify, wherever you listen. All of it. We would love to hear from you, and we're excited for what's coming forward. So, Kayla, thank you. I will see you next week for a new episode because Kayla's going to be here a lot as we do this together. And I hope that you guys are going to get to enjoy all the fun antics that Kayla and I get to have together as well. So, everyone, thank you for listening. Be kind to yourselves, be kind to each other, take care of yourselves in this crazy world, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone.